here the rest of the weekend?
Only Easter.
Okay, cool. I'm Jade Saxton. I'm a voice actor and ADR director for Funimation. And I've also voice acted at other studios like Okrochan and Sentai and some places out in LA as well. I'm based out of Dallas, Texas. I'm really out of breath, sorry, because I ran up the stairs. Thank you. I've been voice acting for about 13 years now. I've been in about 250 plus different anime at this point, and video games and such. I've been directing anime for about 3 years now, and really enjoying that and getting to explore that side of things and be on that side of things as well. Yeah, so this is a Q&A. I can answer pretty much anything you want, mostly. Yeah, so any kind of questions you have. Usually the first question that I get, that I'll just get out of the way, is how I got into voice acting. And I grew up doing music and singing in like church choirs and doing a lot of theater on stage. And so when I found out that anime was a thing that even existed, it was like around the year 2002. I didn't really know about it. Of course, there were things in cartoons that I had watched way back in the day that weren't really called anime, but they were really, because they were, I think, originally Japanese created cartoons that I was watching. When I found out about it, I was like, wait a minute, that's in the city that I live in, because I live in Dallas, and Funimation is based out of Flower Mound, which is a suburb of Dallas, Texas. And I then thought about like trying to figuring out ways to get an audition. And back then it was a little bit more difficult. It was a little more tight-knit group. Not as much anime was being produced and made and dubbed. I guess dubbed mostly. There were still tons of it happening in Japan. And I, like 6 years from finding out about it to the point of my audition date, like that's how long it took. I was doing a play with a friend, and he knew someone that worked there, and they were looking for a bunch of girls for this show called Sasame's Magical Girls Club. And he recommended me, and I went in, and that audition actually had some singing involved. And my background is in music. I have a degree in vocal performance in music, where I did a lot of opera and jazz singing. And so I came in and I had to sing for that audition, and it went well enough for them to give me like a little bit role. And then the second season of that show rolled around, and I got a little bit bigger role. And then I kind of started working with some other directors, and just over the years, the ball kept rolling, and like a snowball, just gathering more snow and just getting bigger, and until I'm here now. And I've been doing conventions for about, I think 6 years now. And it's always really cool and fun to come out and like interact with the fans of this genre, because when you're recording, you're all alone. And you don't really get the feedback and all that, so it's really cool. So yeah, if you guys have any questions or anything like that about any of the anime I've done, about what it's like to be an actor or director or anything like that, like I'm happy to answer any of your questions. And he has a microphone. Yeah. Yeah, if you just wouldn't mind walking over, yeah, that'd be great.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Great.
What's your favorite role that you voice acted?
You know, it's so hard to pick a favorite, but I would say that my current favorite right now is Tamaki Kotatsu in Fire Force. I'm really enjoying getting to voice her. It's such a really, really cool show. Some other favorites have been in the moment I hosted a film, Yuki from Wolf Children. If anyone's seen that, I always recommend that as like a starter anime for any like families that want to kind of get to anime. Is it because I'm too close? Okay. It's a really one of my favorite roles that I've ever done, one of the most meaningful roles I've ever done as well. And I think probably to date my favorite anime that I've been a part of, and actually I think my favorite anime to watch, is a show called Nichicho, or My Ordinary Life. I directed all 27 episodes, and I also played Hakase. She's like this tiny professor, like little mini genius who just creates all sorts of wacky inventions. And one of the inventions she creates is a robot girl that basically acts as her mother, who gets in all sorts of trouble. And she also creates a scarf that makes this like stray cat be able to talk, and like the cat ends up living with them, and all sorts of other wacky things. So those have probably been some of my favorites so far. Yeah, thank you.
What's the hardest role you've had?
I'd say the hardest role that I've had vocally for my vocal cords was this tiny penguin named Yoon in a show called Toriko. It was a lot of really high-pitched squealing and no actual dialogue, just the penguin would only say his name over and over, but had to convey the feelings of joy and love, had to watch his penguin parents die in front of him, and only using that voice got really strenuous and tiresome after a while. I also did a show that was very vocally strenuous called Nobunaga, or Nobunagan, I'm sorry, but it was about Nobunaga, where I had to just do a lot of intense action. But it was a really, really cool one. I think it's kind of an unsung show a little bit, but it was a really cool one. Emotionally, I would definitely say one of the hardest roles that I did was Yuki in Wolf Children. It had a lot of depth and, just hit really close to home because it was a story that I really related to. It's about a family, and it's about the loss of a parent at a very young age, which I also lost a parent at a very young age, so I really related to it in that way. But it was very cathartic at the same time, so yeah. Thank you for that. Who else? Oh, hi.
Has there been any role that you wanted to play that you couldn't or haven't kind of missed out on?
Back in the States, because I did do a lot of theater and I did a lot more than I used to right now, I was on a national tour of a show called Stuart Little. It was a children's show, and I played Margalo, which is a bird, if you've seen that story in the movie or you read the book as a child. And so it was a national tour, about a 9-month long around all the country. And around that time, I was really nervous to kind of leave anime behind for a little while. And then what came out during that time, that season that I was gone, was Attack on Titan. And so I missed out on every audition and opportunity to be a part of Attack on Titan, which was kind of a big bummer. And it keeps coming around, and then I'm like, wait a minute, when are you gonna use me besides someone who just dies in the background going, ah? I need to have a meaty role that at least doesn't die for 2 episodes, come on. So yeah, I've always wanted to be a part of that property. I think that would be really cool. Yeah. Who else? Yes.
Two of your characters was never mentioned on the Japanese sub. For example, Kanako, who is a lower sweet cat girl. She even said in slang word what's the deal, yo? And the other one from I Never Thought You Had Let It Go Online. I can't Akane. She speak up Yama Jama. Was that the writers or the directors wanted to spice up the characters?
Definitely for High School DxD, he's talking about the language and how it was sort of westernized for the character Konako that I play. How she says a lot of suck yo or suck it or all these really flat, fun one-liners, and a lot of the language in that show is super different than what you might see if you're watching the sub or the translation. And that's all to do with the writer who started the whole series, Jamie Markey, who really kind of wanted to just flavor these characters and make them really specific and in fun, unique ways, and have their own catchphrases and have their own things. And I'm not really sure for Akane, and he's talking about a show called I Thought There Was Never a Girl Online, which is one of those really funny Japanese titles where it's just way too long and weird. Where I play a character named Akane, who was, and they're all really big gamers. And one of the things that she would say was a bad man jamma, which definitely would not have been a Japanese translation. But sometimes what happens is it's just not, it's lost in translation, or it's not directly translatable. Whatever the joke is or whatever the slang is that they're using would not really make any sense to a Western audience whatsoever. So it just kind of depends. Sometimes it is to spice it up. Sometimes it is to just kind of play into whatever was happening that makes zero sense to our ears as English speakers. Yeah. Who else? Yeah.
Who are your role models when you first started voice acting and now?
Say the beginning of it again?
Who are your role models? Those who began?
Oh gosh, role models, that is so hard. I don't think I really had a lot of voice actor type role models when I started. I didn't really know a lot of who those people were, or they weren't necessarily recognizable names other than, I mean, I grew up watching like My Little Pony, I grew up watching Care Bears, I grew up watching Rainbow Bright, and I really should go back and look up who a lot of those actors are, because like, what if I've met them before? That would be really cool. I've always wanted to meet the voice, and he does conventions sometimes, the voice of Winnie the Pooh. I really want to meet him. There's some, you know, I think that all of those people affected me, but I think that my biggest role model in general is probably my mom. Like, she's been there and supported me through everything. But I watched so much television and film growing up, and I got really into just a lot of different people. And I don't know that I have one like specific actor that I really like loved every single thing they did. Except for maybe Shirley Temple. I watched a lot of old classics and stuff like that, and I think I related to her because she has a baby face and I have a baby face, and she could sing and act, and I can't dance like her though. Like a 4-year-old that can tap like that, like that's crazy. But I really think she influenced me a lot, as well as like Judy Garland. I watched, just a lot of like stuff that was, because I was watching what my mom watched, so I think that's why she's such a big influence on me. What else? Yeah.
Have you met any Japanese of your counterpart in your convention times?
I have not met any of my counterparts, and I want to so bad. I like came really close. I'm gonna forget her name. I was in Canada in Victoria, British Columbia, back in February of this year. And I met the seiyuu for Nico Robin from One Piece, which I play young Nico Robin. And she was so sweet. Like, we had a little moment where we were kind of talking back and forth about the differences. Are there any One Piece fans in here? Yeah. So we were talking about the differences of like who voiced who and like how it worked. So Stephanie Young voices Nico Robin in the English dub. And we were talking about how the scenes where I play young Nico Robin, Nico Robin's seiyuu and Nico Robin's voice actor in the US both played young Nico Robin's mother. But the difference between who played young Nico Robin was they, in Japan, used an actual child, whereas in the US dubbing, for dubbing, not necessarily for prelay, which is where you lay down voices prior to animation happening, which is why it's called prelay. They rarely use actual children for dubbing because it's kind of a really intense technical process, but they're not dubbing in Japan, so they can use actual children, but they use a lot of people who can sound like children, like myself, for the children roles. But she was so sweet and like just so giving and wonderful, and she gave me like this tiny little sticker version of herself, like this little chibi sticker version of herself, and she was just very kind and generous. It was really cool. Any opportunity to meet those people, because they 100% influence like all of our performances. When we're in the studio for dubbing, we record one at a time. We have a screen that's faced like this that shows the animation, and then we have a screen like this, like a more vertical style that shows the script. But we're in a tiny booth, a tiny box, all by ourselves. We don't have like multiple microphones like you would have for prelay, or like they sometimes and a lot of times do in bigger rooms in Japan, because they're doing prelay as well. So we're by ourselves. So it's really cool to hear the voice, and we always listen to the voice and we preview the Japanese before every single line that we do. And so it's really, I would really love to meet like the voice of Carla. That would be amazing. Yeah. Who else? Yeah.
There's a funny one. If you were going out on a pole, who would be your wing woman?
What?
Basically, if you were going out looking for boyfriend, who would be your wing woman if you go around a nightclub?
But
and
what was
stuff?
that phrase you used? I was going out on the what?
Going out on the pole is what we call it in
Pole?
England. On the pole.
How do you spell that?
Sorry, my throat's going because I was shouting at the pub quiz last night. P-U-double-L. Is in
Oh, going out on the
pole or something.
Who would I want to be my wing woman?
Yeah.
Like any person in the world, or like an anime
Any
character?
character you've played, sorry.
Oh. That is definitely, I've never been asked that.
I tried.
Yeah, that's creative. I like that. I would have to think about that. Who would be? They'd be terrible. Who would be good? No. Man, I play a lot of children, so like this is, unless it's like a cute little kid, I feel like Hachin from Michiko and Hachin, I don't know, like she likes to get drunk on juice and like just go out on the dance floor, but I don't know that she'd be like a good backup wing woman. But Michiko, who I don't play, would be really awesome. I don't know. Yeah, I'll have to think about that. If I think of a better one, I'll get back to you.
What are you working on at the moment?
Acting-wise or directing-wise? What am I working on at the moment? I'm currently directing a show called Ensemble Stars, which is about a high school for idol boys. It's based on a video game, and I'm also directing a show called How Heavy Are the Dumbbells You Lift? Or Dumbbells, which if you guys haven't seen that,
We have.
it's pretty good if I do say so myself. I'm really proud of it. I think our cast is amazing and funny, and it's a show about weightlifting, which is, I haven't seen that in an anime before, and it's always cool when you get a new genre or a new like style or a new way of a new type of anime that's out there, and it's super funny. It's a really big comedy, and again, like a cast of a lot of really, really funny women, which I always enjoy getting to work with funny women. Acting-wise, I'm currently in Fire Force as Tamaki Kotatsu. We're finishing up, sadly, finishing up Fairy Tale, where I'm voicing Carla right now. And I'm also, I think we are about to wrap the season, but we're about to wrap Fruits Basket, where I play Saki Hanajima. And then I've also been doing a little bit of Black Clover. If anyone has seen that, I think I play 2 different characters, and I do that because one character literally has never said a thing, and all she ever does is sleep and snore. So anytime I record for her, I just have to go in and be like just do a couple of big breaths and snores. And so then I'm also playing this little elf kid named Pyeong, which is super cool. I'm also in a show called Ben right now, where I play a character named Maya, a little girl who wears pigtails just like this. And I'm trying to think. I think that might be the only projects that I'm currently working on that I can talk about, because NDAs and all that. But yeah, thank you. I'm also doing home video mix reviews for Zombieland Saga, so get ready for that if you're into that. It's gonna be so dope. Who else?
Odd question. God forbid this ever happens. If you can't be in the voice acting industry anymore, what kind of job would you do?
Yeah, God forbid, am I right? Am I right? Gosh, I don't know, like, I really hope that I could still do something creative, and maybe still just do acting? Or do you mean, like, if I couldn't act anymore for whatever? Just voice act? Well, shoot, I'd just do more theater and film and do any kind of thing that I could do in that way, any type of creative thing. Like, before I became a full-time director, I worked at a marketing firm that did marketing for theater venues, like, I don't know what the big theater venue in Leicester is, but like the ones that have like national Broadway tours come through, we did marketing for stuff like that. So I did a lot of copywriting for advertisements and a lot of radio ads, and I would direct radio. So just anything that still let me be creative, because those are the ways that I mostly am creative. I can't really draw or do any of that. Like I had to do some graphic design with that job, but I was never really super great at it. I was learning and it was fun, but I wasn't, I don't really see creatively, visually that way as well as I do in other ways. I also come from a music background, so I also would probably be pursuing more opportunities to sing, and I've been in cover bands before, and I've also been in a lot of jazz bands. I think the first time that I came to the UK, I was touring with a jazz band in my college, and we came over and we went to, I think we went to Ireland the first time, and then we went to England the second time, and we went to Bath and York, and we went to Wales as well. But we didn't really, we didn't come to Leicester, and we didn't get to go really to London either. So that's what I'm doing this trip. But I'm not singing jazz in pubs. But it was really cool. Yeah. Thank you. Yes.
Do you have a sort of vocal range you're always looking for voice acting?
Sometimes, but honestly, like depending on at what point in my day, I don't know if everyone could hear him, but he was asking about vocal warm-ups. Is that what you're asking about? Yeah, okay. You think that I would because I'm a singer? I sometimes do this one that's, and my music teacher friend, or former music teacher friend is in the audience here, but she might know this one. Are there any choir kids out there? One, yes. What up, choir? I'm a former choir nerd. I love choir. It was A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, X, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. It just really gets the mouth moving and the tongue moving, and you have to get really crisp. And of course, there are all those fun ones like Lumen and Linoleum, Red Leather, Yellow Leather, like all these things that like really get the mouth like warmed up. But I really just like to sing in my car mostly, if that's the option that I get. But sometimes I go like, because I work 10 to 6 at the studio, and sometimes I'll have to direct from 10 to 1 and then go act from 1 to 3 or whatever. And I don't always get the opportunity, so a lot of the times just right when I get in there, I get the character reference, I just do some like trills, what are called trills, like things that kind of loosen up my jaw, and just know that I'm probably gonna mess some things up, because even with the warm-up, I'm gonna mess it up, but at least I'm a little bit more, you know. But singing in the car just to some of my favorite music usually kind of helps the best. Yes.
Out of all the characters you played, which one has influenced you the most?
Influenced me. I'm trying to think if there's one that like legitimately like maybe changed some aspect of my life, or changed me in like a significant way. I mean, I think there are definitely ones that I felt like were career changing, like Carla from Fairy Tale, just because that was like one of the first like I think major kind of shows that I was on. I'm trying to think if there are any characteristics or habits that I picked up. I don't know. I mean, it is, you know, acting, and it is like just putting it on. So I don't know. I really wanted and like tried to keep the characteristics of Chica from Love Live in me, just because she's so bright and optimistic and like always kind of looking for a way forward no matter what happens. So, and I think that was like sort of a part of me already, but I really I liked that about her so much, and so I think that's definitely influenced me in some ways. Hopefully some of the more horrible ones haven't influenced me. Yeah, thank you.
Does it take you out of an anime if you actually hear your own voice?
Does it take me where, sorry? Oh, well, I mean, I think if I'm watching myself, yeah, I'm already like, I know what's coming. You know what I mean? Like, it kind of depends. I don't know, because I don't watch myself all that much. but not entirely. I think sometimes, especially if it's like an older show that I haven't seen in a while, and I think I was talking a little bit about this the other day, like if it's just something from like maybe 7, 8 years ago, where I felt like I was younger as an actor and younger as a person, obviously. Kind of hearing that like is a little bit like, oh my gosh, that's what I sounded like. Like that's what like it can kind of take me out of it. But some of the newer stuff that I try and my best to keep up with, I'm just like really excited to hear the full story and like witness and hear the other actors within there. That I'm usually still invested in what's happening in the moment. So it just kind of depends on me. Yeah, but it is weird. It's like any time, like especially I remember when I was little, like any chance that you were recorded on a video or even on like an answering machine or anything, like hearing your own voice is like, that's what I sound like? Because you don't sound like that in your own head, like literally and, all that. I always sound way weirder to me on a recording. Oh, hi.
Was there any characters you struggled to connect with?
I mean, honestly, like at first, Carla, like she was not the best. She was kind of just there to serve this one note purpose, and while I loved playing her and she was fun, like I didn't connect with her on a personal level per se. And also, Ferris from Steins Gate, if anyone's seen that, especially the first season, the way that recording went down, I was like, I think I hate her. Like, I don't know if I like her. And I was worried that everyone else would hate her as well. And then when the second season rolled around, I was like, okay. Like sometimes it's hard to connect when you don't, until you get to like the meat of their story and like what they're fully doing there. You're just you're invested in the text and the dialogue until then, and it's always super cool for that to unfold and to find out what's really going on behind the scenes there. Yeah. Hi.
Going a bit back to music, is there a particular song that you feel is quite dear to you in terms of music?
My go-to jukebox song is Love Shack by the B-52s. I don't know, it just always makes me happy, y'all. I love that one. I grew up listening to, I think my first, like a ton of Beatles, like my first cassette tape, which yes, I'm old enough to have had a first cassette tape, was one of George Harrison's like solo albums. And then my first CD was Queen's Greatest Hits, so I love Queen. So a lot of their music, but I mean, nowadays I listen to like all the current pop music. I love pop, I'm super into that, but yeah, Love Shack, it's a jam. I love it, it's so great. I'm also like really into this artist right now called, I don't even know if I'm saying it right, like Sigrid? Does anyone know that? S-I-G-U-R-D? Has anyone ever heard of her? She's freaking awesome. She has a song called Dynamite that I did a little cabaret this summer for a fundraiser for a theater company that I'm a part of, and I sang one of her songs. It's really beautiful. Yeah, check her out. Yeah. What's your jukebox song? Not that they really have those, but you know what I mean, in the bars where they have the thing where you can...
I'm afraid my favorite song is actually Brian Adams' Summer of '69. I'm afraid it's something that connected with my parents in particular. So
yeah. Our parents really influence, I think, us musically. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Who else?
Is there any funny story while working as a voice actor?
A funny story? I don't know. Okay, I have one. It's funny to me. I don't think it was funny for the other people in the room, but I found it hilarious. So I was doing a show called Hog and I. Has anyone ever seen that? Hog and I, it's Hog and I don't have many friends. Another one of those real ones. I play Seneca Shimazaki. She's really into like dirty novels. She tries to keep this like secret hidden. and when we were, sometimes what happens when you're recording the original, when you're going along and you're dubbing, you record something and then later on when it's getting ready for home video, you get all new videos sent from Japan because they like reanimated certain sections or elongated certain sections or added more mouth flaps, which are what the mouth movements are called. And in this one, like she originally only said like one really tiny short kind of phrase that had to be bleeped out. And then it like cut away to the mid card. But this was that year that I was on tour for Stuart Little that I was telling y'all about. And I was back in town for 3 weeks, and so anything that I needed to get done at the studio, they were like, okay, come on in, we're gonna get everything done. And a lot of times when you just have like what are called pickups for home video, there's those sections where you have to redo when animation has changed. They kind of put you in what's called WALA. Do you guys know what WALA is? So it stands for, it's kind of like an acronym, it stands for With All Actors. And it's when groups of 3 or 4 can be guys and girls, all guys, go into the booth together and they record all the background dialogue that happens, like if this scene right here were an anime, like anyone that's kind of talking in the background would be considered WALA. And so all of that has to be recorded as well because, you know, otherwise you would hear like Japanese people talking in the background of these like English scenes. And so they put me in a group of WALA at the same time to get these pickups for Hakanai. And the Joel McDonald, who was the director of that particular season, was like, okay, you go in first, and then these other girls were there, and 2 of them were brand new and had never dubbed a thing in their life. And he put me in what I call the fishbowl. I just call it that because in the studio there's like a giant glass thing, and then you're closed off from the rest of the world, and it's like you're inside of a fishbowl. And he said, okay, I'm gonna rewrite this line, which now had about like, I would say about 15 more mouth flaps when originally it had like 5 mouth flaps. And luckily he had a really dirty mind because he was just like type like really quickly. And it was just a lot of bleeped things that like, you can go look it up if you want to watch it. It's me being bleeped a lot, saying dirty things. And so I just like was like, okay, I'm gonna one take wonder this because I don't want to have to do this again. And I'm just like, and I was like, cool, okay. And she also says it really fast because the character's really exasperated and